now is just that last little bit about what we need to get done to fix climate change, and also things that you can do. So one of the one of this excellent books that I found by Paul Hawken is What Needs to Be Done. And so they have the top 100 ideas in there. And so one of the things is to control the refrigerants. Remember I talked about CFCs? That actually they think is one of the best things to do. So they need to find any that are still around. We need to replace the ones that are dangerous. And that would save like 89.7 gigatons of carbon dioxide by 2050 if we started putting that in place. We need more turbines, wind turbines onshore. Those are the lowest cost power, they're fast installation, and that is happening. We need to reduce food waste. Almost a third of food is wasted. And so if you can plan ahead a little bit and try not to waste things, it's hard when our lives are so busy. But yes, work on not wasting food. That actually will save an incredible amount of energy. A plant-rich diet, less meat and dairy, more plants and nuts. So get out the nuts. Regrow the tropical forest that we're chopping down. Some interesting ones, educate girls and family planning kind of go together. The more girls get educated, it works better because they become more valuable rather than just producing babies. And so that helps them reduce the number of children that are born too. So educating girls, very important. More solar farms, as you might expect. Here's another one that's interesting, silvopasture. Put trees in grazing pasture. It actually is much more productive. The cows like the shade and the sheep, and it actually makes the ground cooler, and so it actually makes everything more productive. So why does a field have to be totally empty? The sheep are always gathered under the tree. Okay, so more trees in pastures. And rooftop solar. So these are like the top 10, and that would save huge amounts of carbon dioxide production. Now, when we're eating more nuts is important. And so this circle represents where foods probably should be to be sustainable across the planet. And so things that are outside of the circle, the planet, we're eating too much of it. If they're too low in the circle, like nuts is pretty much non-existent here, that means we're not eating enough of it. We want to bring it out to the circle. So more whole grains, more nuts, more beans, more fruit, more vegetables. Fish is about right. Dairy, we could eat more and still sustain the planet. Poultry is about right. Eggs, we eat too much. Now, I put it some in the blue is what just the United States is using. So, like eggs, we eat about 2.5 times as much as is sustainable in the world. But the whole world eats about 1.5 times as much as it should. Potatoes, we eat way too many starchy vegetables. So in the United States, we eat about 1.5 times again, 171% more than we should. And overall, the world is eating about 300 times as much as they should. So anyway, so yes, we need to get people off the starchy vegetables and more nuts, which are much better nutrition. And red meat, you can see that the world is eating about 300%. That's about 3 times as much as they should. We got to reduce those cows down to a level that is sustainable. And in the United States, we eat about 600%. So 6 times as much as we should. So like I said, if you could cut down your red meat, your cows, cut down your cow eating once a week, cut it down to half as much, then you'll be where the rest of the world is. Cut it down to 1/6 as much, and that is sustainable. Okay, so anyway, so yes, we want everybody on the planet to have a better diet. Policy changes. Of course, we need to make sure that policies get changed. We need cap and trade laws for carbon dioxide. We need to stop subsidizing fossil fuels. Yes, we do. We help fossil fuels. Like we'll build roads through parks so that through national forests so that people can get there and drill rigs with drilling rigs. We subsidize them in many ways. So stop subsidizing fossil fuels, but do subsidize wind and solar and geothermal. We need to support research in climate science and oceans and Arctic. We got to find out about the permafrost, how much methane is coming off there. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be researched. And we need to have immigration reform because we need to figure out how to allow more people into the United States. We have a big country. We have room for more people. And we need to have climate refugees given some rights to move from a country that is now not sustainable, not usually through that country's fault. It's through the bigger countries like the United States. We have produced half the carbon dioxide in the world that is currently polluting our planet. The United States is responsible for half. Okay, and we're going to have shelters for people who are in hot environments. So cities need to set those up, cooling areas. More trees. We need to plant more trees in cities. Okay, so right now, how much carbon dioxide do you produce? Do people produce? Right now, the human race is producing about 54 gigatons of carbon dioxide every year. So these numbers over here, how we want to reduce it, you can see how each one of these pretty much would cover 1 year's worth of carbon. So we want to suck that out, but we also want to stop producing so much. Now, a sustainable carbon budget is about 21 gigatons of carbon dioxide that the biosphere can handle. So we are producing about twice as much carbon dioxide as the planet can handle. If it was sustainable, that would allow 3 tons of carbon dioxide per person. In the United States, each person produces about 17 tons of carbon dioxide. In Italy, it's only about 5.3. In India, it's about 1.8. In Madagascar, it's only about 0.1. So you can see that, yes, the United States and people in the United States are most of them producing much more carbon than is sustainable. And basically, if you're interested in the idea of justice, there's carbon justice. Is any human deserving of more than their share? So, and if you're wondering, how do you produce so much carbon dioxide? For every gallon of gasoline, which is about 6.3 pounds, it creates almost 20 pounds of carbon dioxide. So to get to a ton, which would be 2,000 pounds, well, 20 times 100 would be 2,000. So you just have to use 100 gallons of gasoline to get to 1 ton. Okay, so that's how it happens. All right, so you keep filling your tank up, and so if every month you're putting 20, 30 gallons of gas in there, then you can see that you could add up and have a ton of gas, pretty fast. All right, so anyway, so that's why having an electric car would really cut down on your carbon footprint. So what can we do? Well, drive less, ride a bike, take a bus, use an electric car, refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, right? Because you want to make sure that you're not having oil dug up to make plastics for you. So reusable grocery bags are a good idea. Eat less beef, take shorter showers, put on a sweater, turn off the lights. Okay, so instead of adjusting the thermostat to make you comfortable, put on a sweater or take off some clothes so that you don't have to adjust the whole house just for you. Some people are saying they're not going to fly because there's a lot of carbon dioxide that's produced when people fly. Some people are saying they're not going to have children. Children use up a lot of resources, especially if they're born in America. So some things to think about. Your yard, plant trees, native plants, grow some food. Bee and butterfly gardens, help animals in their migration and as they're moving across the country. You got to give them places to live. Most people have no place really for insects or animals. So maybe dedicate a third of your yard or a part of your yard to nature. Compost piles, right? Compost the food waste so it's not just going in the trash. Anyway, so more berries and seeds. Give the birds something to eat. Try LED light bulbs. They are amazing. They're really helping the planet. So put LEDs in and make sure your thermostat is not too low in summer or too high in winter. Learn to adjust your clothing instead. Put a blanket over your legs in the winter. Put on sweaters. In the summer, maybe lie in front of a fan or spend some time in the basement. Anyway, so there are things you can do, and of course there are things you can say. You can talk to people. You can write companies. They do listen. You can vote for politicians who are going to support emissions reductions. You can volunteer at natural areas. So there's going to be a lot of changes going on. Maybe you're the one who's going to be in there helping the plants and the animals adjust. Okay, and there are going to be a lot of natural disasters. So maybe you're the type of person who's going to help out after a tornado or a hurricane. So anyway, so there's lots of stuff that can be done. And watch in your house that you actually have things turned off. So computers can use a lot of energy even when you think they're off or when they're in standby or sleep mode. And your microwave, oven, anything that has a light blinking, it's waiting for an infrared signal often, those things are using energy. So like a TV that's sitting there blinking gently, it's still partially on. So anyway, so if you can figure out how to do a hard off on these things by maybe having them in a power strip, and then you can turn the power strip off, that can help. Okay, and then don't forget to go out and perhaps strike for climate change. So if you haven't heard Greta Thunberg tell off the United Nations, you really should enjoy that. Now, I've been trying to give you some hope, but Greta's, she's telling people just because things are looking a little bit up because we're getting more solar panels and stuff, there's still a long way to go. Don't get too hopeful. So anyway, so Greta is very tough and she keeps people honest. So she was yelling at the United Nations. Anyway, so she's just an ordinary girl who started striking for the climate in Sweden. And people started to join her. And now she's the leader, basically, of the European climate youth movement. And she talks about the carbon budget. So the idea was how much more carbon dioxide could be shoved into the atmosphere and still keep below 1.5 degrees. And they decided it was below 450 parts per million. And remember, we're already close to 420. So there's not that much more carbon we can shove in there. Okay. Anyway, so if you're feeling really sad, there is something called eco grief for people who are feeling sad about the climate. And this does affect a lot of people around the world who are feeling a little bit desperate. But one thing you can do is not just get sad. Don't give up yet. And do get mad. Yell at your politicians if you need to. Go out and join a climate rebellion group. There's Extinction Rebellion in England, which is an amazing group. And, don't give up. And, if every little bit of carbon hurts because it stays in the atmosphere for 100,000 years, then every little bit of reduction helps. So, again, take some personal responsibility and try to reduce your carbon output, even while you are that what really needs to happen is more wind power, more solar power, which is maybe not something you as an individual will be doing, but you can certainly make sure that your state government and local governments are encouraging this. Okay, well, that's about it. Good luck in your future. And remember, try not to eat beef.